If your hamstring pain just won't go away despite resting, stretching, or even doing physical therapy, then listen up. What feels like a hamstring strain might actually be something else entirely. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 4 signs that your pain might not be a true hamstring injury, and what to do if you want to finally start healing. Misdiagnosing this is super common, and it's one of the reasons people stay in pain for months. So let's break it down. So first, let's talk about how does a normal hamstring injury respond? Well, first of all, you notice that you had an injury and you're like, oh, and you're grabbing your hamstring, then that's a good sign that potentially there may be a hamstring issue. Also, if you do have like a hamstring strain or something like that, it's going to be very consistent. Every time I do this, then you're going to feel it. So every time I stretch down through here, you're going to feel it, and it doesn't change in location. It's always in the spot that is a problem. You will have weakness. You can contract the muscle and you'll feel the pain in that area or the tightness. You'll feel something when you load that tissue, which is common with a hamstring injury. But let's talk about what a hamstring injury is not supposed to be presenting like, and when we start thinking that it's coming from other areas. So first one is you're doing normal treatment to that hamstring and you're not getting any better. Probably not a hamstring issue. There's a couple of other sources we'll talk about that can produce pain in the hamstring, but it's not a hamstring issue. Again, if you're doing a normal evaluation with a hamstring issue, you're going to be looking at, okay, what does the flexibility look like? What does the strength look like? Can you reproduce the pain with the same activity? Those are things that we're going to be looking for. When we notice that the pain moves and it changes, it used to be here and then now it's here and then moves over here, not likely a hamstring issue, because that is something that's going to be more common with some back tightness and those kind of things, back issues, because it will produce some referred pain in the hamstring and it can move around. Hamstring strain is very consistent. It's going to be in the same location for the most part. The next thing that we'll notice is that if you're getting pain like below the knee, probably not a hamstring issue. This is when we start looking at the back as a potential issue, but there's also other issues that we look at as well. And then the last one, if you're noticing like numbness and tingling, I'm just going to give you an example. We had a patient that came in with knee pain, like lateral knee pain. And then she was telling me that she was getting kind of pain shooting up into her hip and some tingling and those kind of things. I'm like, this is probably not a knee issue. And sure enough, it wasn't. It was a spine issue that even when she had reduced range of motion in her knee, when we went to her spine, it took all the pain away. So these are things that we look at when we're trying to determine, is it really coming from the hamstring or is there something else going on? So what are common sources of hamstring pain when it's not truly a hamstring injury? Number one is the back. The back is the number one source. We have issues in the back that can produce pain into that hamstring. It's very, very common. Very common for it to go into the hip, very common for it to go into that leg. 40% of lower extremity pain actually comes from the spine, so we have to rule these things out. And so if you're noticing that there's some tightness or things that are happening within the spine, and you may not notice, your range may be normal, like you feel like it's normal. Well, we want to test it. So go in and let's test it. Go do some baseline testing into that hamstring to see, like, is there tightness? You can have tightness where you have pressure up against a nerve producing what we call dural tension that will be like, oh, yep, every time, oh, yep, every time. And you're feeling the pain in that hamstring and you're feeling hamstring tightness because of the nerve, but not because of the muscle. And so this is something that happens all the time that we have to look at because it can look like a hamstring issue, but it might not actually be a hamstring issue. And we have to do things to take pressure off that nerve. So the exercise that I typically give people starting out is just going and doing a round of press-ups and just see what happens. Most of the time we do 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 bending and throughout the day. We never reverse the direction. So go in and do a few press-ups, and let's just see how that works. When we go and we ask questions, I've had people that had pain in their calf, and they had, that was their complaint, pain in the calf. Doctors did MRIs on the calf, and I asked them questions like, if you're sitting, what does it feel like? Oh man, it's the worst. It hurt, my calf hurts when I sit. Okay, what happens when you're doing calf raises to that muscle? No pain, no problems. Okay, not a calf issue, more like a back issue. Same kind of thing with a hamstring. It works that way. Now, the other one that is a common source is the hip, and people will not look at this, and they're gonna think, we've had clients that they've dry needled their hamstring, they're doing hamstring stretches, and they're super tight in the hamstring, but they're not getting better. And so you'll notice that we can change their hamstring flexibility like this when it's a hip issue and it's not a hamstring issue. And so this, I'll just give you an example. We had someone that was a dancer, and so she does kicks. She's constantly kicking her leg up like this, and she couldn't kick her leg up anymore because she was so tight in her hamstrings, and she was stretching it and stretching it. They were dry needling it, doing soft tissue, doing all these things. But in reality, it wasn't a hamstring issue, it was actually a hip issue. So her hip mobility, she couldn't move, which was limiting the hamstring. Like we couldn't get the hamstring flexibility because literally she couldn't move her hip. We go in and we're testing her hip motion coming in through here. She couldn't move it because she was so tight in that hip joint for doing the repeated motion over and over and over again of kicking with force over long periods of time and not taking her joint in the opposite direction. So this is when you can go in and we can stretch it. So if this is the joint, we can take the leg off here and keep that hip down and just walk the hands up to really stretch that joint. And when we stretch the joint in the opposite direction, I'm here to tell you, you'll come back into doing the hamstring flexibility. And when they only could go here, all of a sudden they can go up here, and it can be that quick. And that's just because there's a joint issue going on within the hip joint that is causing the hamstring tightness. So we're going to go into some other videos that will break it down a little bit more to kind of help you understand some of this, but I just wanted to do a general video that was going to help you understand a little bit of like, ooh, wow, that sounds like me, that sounds like me. Maybe there's a hip component, maybe there's a back component, and that's why I'm not getting better, so that you can understand that there's a lot of sources that can produce pain and tightness in that hamstring that is not a hamstring issue. If this video helped you realize that your hamstring pain may not be what you think it is, don't guess it, assess it. Click on the link below to schedule a free discovery visit call if you live in the DFW area, and check out my next video this week where I'm going to break down how nerve pain can mimic hamstring strains. Don't wait, let's get you moving pain-free again.